Bitwarden. If you're in IT or DevOps, or even just a security-conscious individual, you likely heard of it. Open source, auditable, trusted by over 10 million users and 50,000 businesses. The gold standard for password management. On April 22nd, 2026, for exactly 93 minutes, the Bitwarden CLI became a weapon pointed directly at the developers who trusted it most. And here's the thing, Bitwarden did not get hacked, their pipeline did. Their supply chain was the attack's surface, and by the time it was over, SSH keys, cloud credentials, GitHub tokens, AWS secrets, and yes, even your AI coding assistant configurations were already on their way out the door. Welcome to Darnley Cyber Cafe. Pull up a chair. This one's going to sting a little. Let's start with the facts, because the facts here are remarkable. At 5:57 p.m. Eastern Time on April 22nd, 2026, a malicious version of the Bitwarden CLI was published to the NPM registry. The package looked exactly like the real thing, the same maintainer, same scope, same metadata. The only difference was buried inside two files, bw_setup.js and bw1.js. That had absolutely no business being there. At 7:30 p.m., 93 minutes later, the package was detected and pulled. Bitwarden confirmed the breach, revoked compromised access, and initiated remediation immediately. Their core vault, untouched. No user vault data was accessed. Their statement was clear on that. But here's the reality of supply chain attacks. 93 minutes is a very long time when your package has over 250,000 monthly downloads. The malicious version was live. It was installable, and any developer or any automated CI/CD pipeline that pulled it during that window has to treat their entire environment as compromised. And I want you to understand, and I want to emphasize on this automated pipeline angle. So this isn't about a person clicking a button or a link. Pipelines pull these packages without human review. No matter what time of day, that's the scale of this problem. So, how does something like this happen to a reputable, open source, publicly auditable project like Bitwarden? The answer is this. They didn't attack Bitwarden directly, they attacked the tools Bitwarden uses. Specifically, this incident traces back to the Checkmarx supply chain breach, a separate but connected campaign by a threat group researchers that are tracking as Team PCP. Checkmarx is a security company. They make the tools that help developers find vulnerabilities in code. And when Checkmarx GitHub Actions were compromised, that gave the attackers a foothold into any pipeline that used Checkmarx's tooling, including Bitwarden's CI/CD workflow. So here's how the mechanics worked. And I want you to really absorb this because it's elegant in the most unsettling way possible. Bitwarden's NPM publishing uses something called trusted publishing, quote unquote that, a modern mechanism based on OpenID Connect that's designed to eliminate the need for long-lived API tokens sitting in those repositories. The idea that a GitHub Action's workflow, if properly configured and authorized, can get a short-lived token to publish a package. No hard-coded credentials, theoretically safer. The attackers used the compromised Checkmarx GitHub Action, which Bitwarden's pipeline referenced, to gain write access to Bitwarden's repository. They created a new branch, staged a pre-built malicious tarball, rewrote the published workflow to use GitHub's OIDC token to authenticate with NPM, and publish the package. Then, and this is the part that is nasty, they deleted the workflow runs, deleted the branch, deleted the release tag. The only evidence left was the package sitting on NPM. Security researcher NN Khan noted this is believed to be the first known compromise of a package using NPM's trusted publishing mechanism, the very mechanism designed to prevent exactly this kind of attack. And this is very important because I want you all to understand in some previous episodes that I've made about the AI-enabled attacks and the third-party risks. Understand here that the attacker did not need to break Bitwarden security. They simply broke their supplier security and walked through the front door. Okay, so a malicious package gets published. What does it actually do? Because, and I want to be specific, this is not amateur hour. Whoever built this payload knew exactly what they were doing. The malicious files used a loader called bw_setup.js. When this package was installed, the pre-install hook fired automatically before you even run a single command, and the loader checked for the bun runtime. If bun wasn't installed, it downloaded it from GitHub, and then it used bun to execute bw1.js, a heavily obfuscated JavaScript file that was the actual credential-stealing payload. And what did it steal exactly? Let me give you the list, because it's extensive. NPM tokens, GitHub authentication tokens, SSH private keys, environment variables, shell history, AWS credentials, parameter store values, GCP credentials, secret manager values, Azure Key Vault secrets, GitHub action secrets, and this is the first time I've seen this explicitly, AI coding assistant configuration files. We're talking Claude Code, Codex CLI, Cursor, Kiro, Aider. If you're using AI coding assistants on the same machine where you install this package, those configurations were targeted. I need to take a breath here. The stolen data was encrypted using AES 256 CGM with asymmetric encryption, meaning the only threat actor with the matching private key could decrypt it, and then was exfilled through two channels: a primary domain masquerading as the Checkmarx audit endpoint, and a fallback mechanism that connected the data to newly created public GitHub repositories on the victim's own account. Your stolen credentials uploaded to your GitHub under your name while you slept. But wait, there's more. And it gets worse. The malware also had self-propagation capabilities. Using the stolen NPM tokens, it identified packages the victim had to publish rights to, injected them with the same malicious code, and uploaded new poison versions. One developer's machine becomes a distribution node for infecting the next organization. This is how supply chain attacks compound. Researchers from OX Security gave this campaign a name, the Schieholland, I probably butchered that, a reference to the sandworms from Dune. They noted the malware even contains an embedded manifesto calling itself the Third Coming and won't execute if the host machine has Russian language settings configured. Now from here, you're welcome to draw your own conclusion. Now I'm not here to talk about geopolitics here for a second, but this is a note from researchers who flagged the Russia language skip as a data point. This doesn't confirm or deny state sponsorship. So I'm trying to keep this extremely factual here, but just wanted to give you the news. Bitwarden issued a clear, responsible statement. They contained the breach quickly. They confirmed no vault data was accessed. No production systems were compromised, and honestly, for a company in that position, their response was quite textbook. Full marks on the incident response there. Pass, I suppose. But I want to stop here because this is the moment where I need to say something that I've said before on the show, and I will keep saying this in each episode until it sinks in. The vault being safe is almost beside the point. If you're a developer who had Bitwarden CLI installed via npm in a CI/CD pipeline, and that pipeline ran during that 93-minute window, Bitwarden's vault being intact does not protect your AWS keys. It doesn't protect your GitHub tokens. It doesn't protect the SSH keys sitting on that build server. It doesn't protect the credentials your pipeline injects at deploy time. This is the thing about supply chain attacks on developer tooling. The tooling isn't the target. The developer's environment is the target. And the developer's environments are swimming in secrets. Now, I've talked about on the show before about the danger of outsourcing your security posture to any single vendor, whether that's your antivirus, your password manager, your SIM, your vulnerability scanner. The Bitwarden incident is not a reason to stop using Bitwarden. Their core product held, but it is a very clear illustration of a principle I want you to tattoo on your forehead. No vendor can guarantee your security, period. Not Bitwarden, not your EDR, not your firewall vendor, not even the security companies whose entire product is protecting other people's pipelines. And we can point to Checkmarx itself as proof of that, the security company whose tooling was compromised in the first place. If a company selling security tools can have their GitHub actions weaponized against their own customers, then the assumption that the tools in your pipeline are trustworthy, simply because of who made them. That is an assumption you cannot afford to make. Defense in depth, least privilege, verification, these are not just buzzwords. They're the only thing standing between you and the next 93-minute window. You can listen back to previous podcast for the title episode, Why Cybersecurity Startups Are Being Targeted, Smart Weapons, How AI is Rewriting Attackers' Playbook, Digital Exhaust, The Trail You Leave Online Without Knowing It, The Deep Fake Threat, and Big Brother Goes Online and You're the Target. I have literally set up all previous podcasts that you're welcome to listen to that highlights the importance here about how cyber criminals are starting to attack you. All right, now for the positive stuff. Let's talk about what you can actually do, because this show is more about just cataloging the ways the world is on fire, because it will take me all day and all night and all century. But I want to leave you with something actionable. If you install the affected version, first, damage control. If you or your pipeline installed the CLI version 2026.4.0 between 5:57 p.m. and 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on April 22nd, 2026, Treat your environment as 100% compromised. So, what do you do and what does this mean? Rotate every credential that machine has access to, every token, every key, every secret, zero exceptions. Review GitHub for any new public repositories, not suppositories, that created under your account that you didn't create. Sometimes, never mind. Audit your NPM packages for new versions you didn't publish. The worm can republish your own packages with the payload. Check your GitHub Actions workflow for modifications on transient branches. Hunt for the bun runtime or the files bw_setup.js and bw1.js in unexpected locations. Check for outbound connections to audit.checkmarx.cx, a domain used for exfil masquerading as legitimate Checkmarx endpoint. Now, for your pipelines moving forward, we'll talk about prevention because this category of attack is just getting started and not going away. First, pin your package versions. An unpinned dependency in a pipeline is an open invitation. If you're pulling latest or using a floating version range, you will install whatever gets published, including malicious updates. Pin to a specific version and require a deliberate review change to update. Second, consider a minimum release age policy. A security researcher on LinkedIn noted that the setting min release age equals 7 in your NPMRC, available in NPM 11.10 and above, would have protected against the attack. The malicious package was live for 93 minutes. A 7-day minimum release age means new package versions have to sit on the registry for a week before your system installs them. That's 7 days for the community to notice something going wrong or amok. Third, apply least privilege everywhere in your CI/CD pipeline. Your build pipeline should have the minimum permissions it needs to do its job. If a pipeline only needs to run tests, it doesn't need NPM publish rights. If it doesn't need to create GitHub repositories, restrict that. The malware self-propagation only works because compromised tokens had those broad permissions. Fourth, audit your GitHub Actions dependencies. Any third-party GitHub action you reference in your workflow is code running in your pipeline. Review what actions your workflows use. Check their permissions afterwards. Pin actions to specific commit SHAs, not just version tags, which can be moved, so you know exactly what code you're running. Fifth, monitor for anomalies. Outbound connections to unexpected domains, new repositories appearing under your account, bun being downloaded in environments where it has no business being, new workflow files appearing on unfamiliar branches. These are signals. Your SEIM or your pipeline monitoring should be watching for them. Sixth, for sensitive environments, consider using officially signed binaries from the vendor's website rather than NPM packages. The Bitwarden desktop clients, browser extensions, and Vault were not affected. Only the NPM CLI package was compromised. Official signed binaries distributed through the vendor's own infrastructure have a different, though not zero, risk profile. And finally, because I keep saying this and I will continue to keep saying it, stop treating any single security tool as your backstop. Bitwarden's Vault held, great, but the pipeline delivering the CLI tool was the attack surface. Your password manager, your antivirus, your vulnerability scanner, they all have pipelines. They all have dependencies. They all have supply chains. Security is a system, not a product. So this would be a good time for me to mention to listen to episode 48, season 6, episode 48, and season 6, episode 43, which will give you some additional insight to the threats that are happening today. The Bitwarden CLI breach lasted 93 minutes. The Team PCP campaign targeting developer tooling has been running since at least March of 2026, hitting Trivy, Checkmarx, Light LLM, and now Bitwarden's distribution pipeline. This is not a series of unrelated incidents. This is a deliberate, methodical campaign against the tool developers trust most, running in the most privileged environments they have. The tools you use to stay secure can become the mechanism of your compromise. That's the world we're living in. So verify, pin, restrict, monitor, and assume that no company, no matter how well regarded, no matter how security focused, is immune to a compromised supplier. This has been Darnley Cyber Cafe, where the supply chain is only as strong as its weakest dependency. Stay sharp, stay vigilant, and remember, trust is not a security control. If you found value in this episode, please follow, rate, and share with someone who can use it the most. It helps this show reach more people and who need to hear it. Until next time, stay safe, stay secure, and remember, knowledge is power.